Gather round, folks, and let me tell y'all a tale about a man sent straight from the depths of hell. The villain vibes have come to town. And what are you gonna do when the man has come around? This is the villain vibes. Rattlesnake Jake. Let's do this. Rango has to be one of the most underrated animated movies of all time, because it may as well have just went straight to DVD, but its quality was on par, if not better than Megamind, and much like Megamind, it's only now getting the respect that it actually deserves. And me being me, I'm paying my respects the only way I can, by vibing with the villains. Well, not the villain, because that's not it, because he's not a bad dude, or at least not entirely he's not a bad dude. Of the anti-hero, the main anti-hero of that movie. I'm talking about Rattlesnake Jake. I'm giving this man the spotlight. I'm paying sympathies to the Grim Reaper himself. I'm spotlighting him. What Jake represents, as Mayor Lynch states, Jake represents a dying breed. Like, the West is dying. He's the last of the old school gunslingers, the old school justice of the West.
You and the sheriff are more alike than you think. You're nothing but legends. Pretty soon, no one will believe you even existed.
He is in the last of a dying breed in a system that no longer needs him. As Lynch states.
It's a new West, Jake. There's no room for gunslingers anymore. We're businessmen now.
We got new hats.
Jake is essentially the guardian of the old school, the way that the West used to handle business. The old school ways of handling justice, which is more than likely why he outlived his usefulness. Because they don't need gunslingers anymore. They're about litigation now. They're not about strongmanning people. That's probably why Lynch turned on him. Or one of the reasons why Lynch turned on him. But what makes Jake interesting, or at least the most interesting, is his motives in particular. Yes, Lynch hired him to get Beans' family farm, to secure that deal. He is a hired gun, he's doing it for the money. But underneath all of that, he has his own motives for targeting Rango specifically. There is a reasoning, and that reasoning is, you make up all of these lies. You told all these people about your so-called legend, yet you can't back any of it up. I earned my fucking legend. What did you earn? He is insulted that Rango is out there telling all of those lies about himself, and he wants to prove Rango as a fraud. In his entire takedown, that entire scene where he's just blatantly calling Rango's bluff, putting a gun in his hands and telling him to pull the trigger.
Go ahead, hero. Pull the trigger. You got killer in your eyes, son. I don't see it.
That was badass, but it was also very tense, a very tense scene, especially for Rango's character, because at that point he was just now starting to believe maybe I am the hero this town needs me to be, only for Jake to run a reality check that underneath all of that guise of heroism, he's just a gecko that fell out of his enclosure. That's all he is, stumbling into a world where he knows nothing about it.
You didn't do any of them things you said, did you? You didn't kill them Jenkins brothers. You ain't even from the West, are you? Say it! Oh, speak up. I don't think your friends here heard you.
No.
All you've done is lie to these good people. You ain't nothing but a fake and a coward. Isn't that right? Louder!
Yes.
Let me talk about Jake's introduction, like that scene in particular.
Believe in that there sign. For as long as it hangs there, we got hope.
In of 3 seconds, in the span of 3 seconds, Jake pulled the rug out from under Rango, shooting down that sheriff sign, putting so many holes in it, in front of everybody, making everybody cower in fear, looking to Rango for safety, like, what are we going to do? And him just standing there, not knowing what to do because he is terrified for his own life. That was so good. Jake didn't even need to do anything at that point. He literally could have just slithered up there with his Gatling gun behind his back and just dead stared him. And Rango could have just ran off. That is all he needed. That is all he would have needed to do to get his point across. But nah, like I said before, he had to prove a point. He had to call out Rango for being the liar that he was. Because Jake is the defender of what the West used to be, of what the West used to represent. Like, he is an honorable man, plain and simple. He is an honorable man, because by the time Rango actually starts living up to that legend, he pays his respects.
Now, Sheriff, I'm sure if we work together, we can reach a mutually beneficial solution to our current situation.
You better take it up with him.
I tip my hat to you. One legend to another.
He is an honorable man, just when you actually earn it, which Rango did by the end of the movie.
It only takes one bullet.
You ain't got the nerve. Try me.
Then there's one last part of Jake's character, one last interesting part. The part that shows him not as the cold-hearted legend that he was, the Grim Reaper taking people's souls straight to hell. Not that aspect. The human aspect of Jake. Because right when we see that, because when he sees the silhouette of that hawk flying above him, he straight up runs for cover.
But then it's a good thing I brought some backup.
The Grim Reaper feels fear. Underneath all of that legend that he had, he is still just a man. Well, a rattlesnake with a Gatling gun, but you get the idea. He is mortal under all of that, guys. But he still is a man of principle, and he still does his best to live up to the legend that he built himself. That's what I find the most interesting. Like there are layers to Rattlesnake Jake. Straight up, there are layers to him. That is why I love him so much. Outside of the sheer badassery of his voice, outside of the freaking Gatling gun he's got strapped to the back of his tail, that he's somehow able to shoot. How does he shoot it? How does his anatomy work? How does he shoot the tail? He doesn't have a lever or anything. He just fires it. How does that work? No, that's not the point. That's not the point of that's not the point of this video. I'm vibing with the villains. Rattlesnake Jake is awesome. For all the reasons that I've stated before, he is the last guardian of what the West used to be. That defender of old school justice. That old school Western style justice. The man wanders into town on a horse with no name, here to give his idea of what justice is supposed to be. He is here to show respect and to make sure everybody pays their respects to what the West truly was.
One last bullet to kill one last outlaw. How fitting.
What was that you said? Pretty soon, no one will believe you even existed.
And that's what makes him the most interesting. That's why he is awesome. That's why he is a villain that I vibe with. I will catch you folks next time. Sage out.
Shiny teeth that twinkle just like the stars in space. My shiny teeth that sparkle and beauty to my face. My shiny teeth that glisten just like a Christmas tree.